Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 89 of the Toonami Escape podcast. I'm Greg Zeno. B-Dubs is clearly playing Monster
Hello.
Hunter in the background.
I am not. Yes, I am.
Are you or are you not?
No, I am. I'm sorry, I can't help myself.
You
I'll turn
literally
it down.
said, "Oh, where'd he go?" Before I click the start broadcast button, and it's like,
I did.
Wait, are we recording?
yes,
Yes.
Cool.
cool,
So professional.
professional production. Seacaller, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good, except I have to listen to B-Dubs clicking something.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Are you monster huntering?
Yes. I put it on pause.
Seda, how's it going?
I'm good.
All right.
Kind of.
So, kind
He's
of.
not really.
Everything okay?
I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I still hear beat-ups clicking away.
Damn it, B-Dubs.
I'm sorry. I can't help it.
Just
You're supposed to be the responsible one.
Yeah, come on,
Really?
man. We're only going to be doing this for like an hour. You can wait an hour.
You're right. I put my controller down.
Especially since there's a whole entire show we're no longer covering. It has not been
you're
replaced
right.
with a new show.
You are correct.
Not that it was a long show we covered, but
No, I mean, it was just, that was nice.
anyway, news. There was a Q&A.
Yes, there was.
Seacaller, lead us into the news.
Okay, so I've got a list here of the topics that were, the newsworthy items that came out of this Q&A. This is from Zonic's post, by the way. So I'm just going to run through these really quickly, and then once I've read them all off, you guys can just chime in on the ones you think are interesting if you want to talk
Let's go
about
through
them.
one by one.
Okay, one by one. Okay, so the first one,
Mhm.
this is a trivial one. We knew this already, though, that the Hot Springs episode of Outlaw Star will air.
Yes.
It's going to be mildly edited, apparently.
I mean,
Okay. Well, I mean, it had to be.
this last weekend we'll talk about it. Or wait, 2 weekends ago? Man, I can't remember. Like in JoJo, we saw like a naked dead woman basically running around. I mean, she was like
Mhm.
Barbie doll, but
Yeah,
still.
I imagine that's what they'll do.
Okay, second bullet here. Apparently, they're trying to have an original show appear once per year. So they're working on trying. Their goal is to have one never before seen show appear on Toonami.
So I
Yeah.
wonder if this is both like fully cooly stuff and scavenger stuff.
Hmm.
Possibly.
Because they also said, hey, remember that weird scavengers thing we did last year? We're making that into a show.
Yeah, I've got a note on that here, though. Apparently, that may or may not be a Toonami thing. That may also just be an Adult Swim thing.
I feel like he also
Yeah.
then said we need to do this original stuff to kind of continue to justify our existence.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
So
I think he
Okay.
implied, maybe you can read into it like that.
Mhm. So
I
yeah,
mean,
but
I guess that makes
nonetheless,
sense.
I think obviously Fully Cooley is something that's going to happen this year. We think
Mhm.
next year, they're probably going to try to have something else. So
Well, I mean, that's pretty good because, DeMarco's pretty much hit the nail on the head with every single one of his, the things Toonami Adult Swim has produced for the block. So,
But what
yeah,
if
it's been
now-
pretty good.
So
Including
what if now he
Sandwhale and me. He
Well,
nailed-
yeah.
well, I mean, outside of that doesn't count.
now he gets to make show link versions of the music videos he loves to play.
God.
I do agree though that like it's a good draw. Like when Space Dandy premiered, it got people to watch. So
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty easy way to make sure that people tune in.
Big
you
O
can't.
season 3.
I want that.
yeah. Okay, we've got brace yourselves. DeMarco likes Fairy Tale.
Fuck
God.
fuck me.
He's supposed to have good taste. What happened?
Imagine a universe where Fairy Tale and Black Clover are both on the block at the same time.
Oh, God.
Could
Wait.
happen.
Hang on. I feel like he's not going to replace a short-running show with a super long-running thing, so it's either going to wind up replacing Hunter x Hunter or, Black Clover.
Imagine
both
if it
of-
was the Kai replacement.
I could see it being the
God.
Shippuden replacement.
Well, I
At
mean,
some
they're not going to... Shippuden is probably dirt cheap at this point.
Shippuden
Yeah.
gets better ratings apparently than Gundam and Hunter x Hunter.
Which is fucked up.
But it
No,
shows
but-
you why it's still on the block.
Yeah. No, but I
Okay.
mean, God help me if it's the Dragon Ball replacement.
Oh,
Imagine
God.
Fairy
That's
Tail
just-
immediately followed by Black Clover.
No.
What about Dragon Ball Kai? Could replace that.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
I thought you said Shippuden. I'm not paying attention. Whoops.
Hopefully, it will replace Shippuden.
Shippuden is ending in like 5 years, so
Yeah, I mean, if it replaced something like Black Clover, that's okay because that's a year off. It's probably going to be better.
Somebody said that in the thread that they would probably prefer Fairy Tail to Black Clover at this point.
Honestly, at this point, yeah, I kind of agree with that because I mean, at least Fairy Tail is, competently put together. Like it's anime the anime,
Here's the
sure,
thing,
but
though, like if Fairy Tail was like an end of the block type show, kind of like where Shippuden is now, it might be fine. But if it's gonna be like replacing like Kai at the beginning,
yeah, I mean that's just a half hour where everybody's going to start skipping.
I agree, and I don't think that's likely either. It would
No.
be
Did they
more
also-
likely at the back.
Didn't they also?
Yeah.
Apparently, they said something like, "Hey, we could expand again."
Yes, okay, I'm going to get to that. So
Oh.
let me keep going here. So apparently, merchandise-wise, they want to focus on Fooly Cooly merchandise this year, so there'll be less Toonami stuff. Although they
Yeah.
did say that they wanted to create a Run the Jewels Toonami combo T-shirt.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I kind of
Um,
feel like Fooly Cooly has to be like summer at this point. Like it's the Dragon Ball Kai replacement.
That would actually
least
be
for a while.
perfectly fine, because
Yeah,
we're
especially
getting
since
2 seasons of that.
I wonder if one of the shows that like ends relatively soon, like Cowboy Bebop, like that doesn't have that many episodes left on its rerun. They might like I could totally see them putting the original Fooly Cooly in.
I mean, that'd be smart.
They are
Yeah.
probably going to do that at some point. Yeah.
It's a good point.
I
Yeah.
don't see why not.
We'll talk a little bit more about this later when we get to Outlaw Star. But Angel Links was turned down for being too sexy back in the day.
Yeah, I don't.
And it will likely never appear on the block for the same
Yeah.
reason, as well as
Mhm.
Tenchi Muyo, for example.
I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't even know Angel Links was a thing until literally this previous.
So
Yeah,
we'll get into that once we get to that
Yeah.
show.
Apparently, it's a in-universe sequel to Outlaw Star, which is sort of weird. I've never actually seen it, but it
I kept
doesn't look
thinking it
very
was-
good.
I kept thinking it was Angel Beats, which is a
No, no.
completely different show that people actually
Yes.
like.
Yes, it is.
So the bit about them wanting to broaden the genres that air on Toonami, still a thing, and apparently been confirmed from this Q&A that that's something that they're continuing to consider.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a good thing. Like, heck, I was just thinking like Space Dandy it's kind of action, but like not
It's more
really.
comedy.
Yeah, so if they do more comedic shows that aren't really actiony or shonen-y or whatever, I could see that working.
I feel like they're gonna have to make a hard line where it's like this show has to have some kind of action. It has to have something.
I don't think it'll be like slice of life.
No,
Like,
I don't think we're
It has
going
to
to
be
go.
something that like
We're not going to suddenly air a K on here.
This is maybe a
No.
little bit like almost demeaning, but it has to be something that might catch a viewer's attention if they're flipping through channels.
Mhm.
And like if it's like something high paced or if there's lots of action and movement,
well,
they
like-
might watch it. So
Like maybe a slice of life with a lot of with action, but not
Or comedy.
Like straight.
Are you trying to
Yeah.
suggest a Full Metal Panic?
yes, I don't know.
No,
I
I
mean,
mean
we've
not
had
me
shows-
specifically, but
We've had shows that like have a little bit of action and a lot of like drama, like Parasite.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean,
Parasite's kind of the. I also, frankly, yeah, thrillers and mystery shows.
Yeah, I think like we've already seen a little bit of branching out, so I think whatever they're going to go with for this choice, it's kind of going to be a little more extreme than we're used to.
Right now,
Um,
everything on the block is extremely Toonami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have an hour and a half of straight
Dragon Ball.
broke ass.
Yeah.
There's an hour of Dragon Ball. There's Gundam. There's 2 long shonens. There's 3 long shonens.
Yes.
And then we have an hour and a half of broke bounty hunters in space.
Yeah.
It's not even action. I guess action is a prerequisite but really when I think about like what is a requirement for a Toonami show, it's almost like it has to be hype. Like there has to be something that's hype about it because they
Yeah.
always have these promos where everything is exciting and and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be something, like it's got to be a thriller or a mystery or straight action, or just there's got to be something to keep you coming back week after week.
Like, we're not going to get straight dramas. We're not going to get slice of life.
I don't know. A straight drama might work depending on what they get, but I do think it depends on which one.
So I'll give you an example.
Like not a romantic drama.
The best straight drama recently, Rakugo. Would it work?
No, we're not getting that.
No,
but I mean, it's a good idea for them to branch out, if only because it opens the door for other things.
And basically, this and the more original shows thing is basically them kind of admitting that streaming's buying everything.
It's not only that streaming's buying everything; it's just that there's not a lot of Toonami shows coming out of Japan that are good. Like there's a lot of comedy and stuff coming out lately. It's not all like giant robot destruction or dudes punching each other in the face or whatever. Like there's like every year only very few like shows come out that you can go, yeah, no, I could see that on the block. Like,
and they said
they're lucky if it's one or two.
Effect, right, Seacaller?
So, well, I mean, I'll get to that. One thing they were asked was, what's the most requested shows, and they did commit to saying that both My Hero Academia and One Punch Man Season 2 continue to be their most requested shows.
I mean, no one's shocked.
And
so it's not like they're shying away from admitting it. What'd you say?
Apparently, they kind of trailed off and didn't name a third.
Okay, interesting.
But it's still good to see that people still want My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they know it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not something they can control. The ratings are indeed down, but not as low compared to other channels. In fact, they're still doing well enough in the eyes of the network.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we all have noticed that the ratings are down, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, I feel like not as many people are just watching stuff at that time of night anyway.
It feels like the ratings stopped really mattering. The ratings stopped matching their decisions.
Right, a while ago. Yeah, it's sort of like the numbers themselves aren't important. It's in relation to everything else that matters.
Yeah.
So I guess even though we're not getting like pentamillion time things anymore, it's still probably better than everything else out there.
Super hit 999,000.
Yeah. I mean, I do think they can still, get those big, million plus, hour and a half things, depending on what they get. There just hasn't really been anything that would push that sort of number.
Fooly Cooly might do it.
Fooly Cooly might do it. I think, didn't Jack do it originally?
Jack is probably the last one to do it consistently.
Yeah, Jack was probably...
Even Jack was still in the... Even Jack came after we had stopped posting ratings, so we didn't even know.
Yeah, I mean... I feel like, Super's getting good ratings, but because it's been around for so long and there's so many different ways to watch it, it's like, The
last bullet I have here is they are, and this is to quote them, they're going back and forth, unquote, between whether they'll expand the block again.
Which doesn't sound like they're either going to expand or contract. It's like either we'll expand or we don't in the near future.
Yeah. My guess is it has to do with Dragon Ball Z or Kai. Like, can they replace it, or will it just kind of? Well, I don't know.
They said expand. They said back and forth on expanding.
Yeah, they didn't say we're going back and forth between expanding and contracting. They're saying we're going back and forth between whether they'll expand again.
Right. And I mean, Super still has like a couple of years of content left,
Yeah. It has like 2 years left.
I'd put it more like 2.5. I'd put it like more like 2.5, 3, but yeah.
We're at episode 48 of 131.
Wow. That's 2 years, basically.
I mean, it's closer to... I mean, but Super's not ending for another 2 months.
Because of marathons.
I mean,
also...
It started last January, and we're on episode 48. Yeah. That tells you we get about 46 in a year.
Sure.
Yeah. Obviously. And not only that, but Super is not actually ending until April. So,
I actually just didn't realize there was so much more we hadn't seen yet.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, it's basically this arc, some mini arcs, and then the next really big arc that we're currently in.
Remember, when Dragon Ball Super started its English broadcast in January of 2017, it had already been airing in Japan for like a year and a half. Like it was that late.
Toei was.
So
you're right.
So even just right then, you're already a year and a half behind, and then just kind of fall a little bit further behind with marathons
every week. Yeah.
So that's all I got.
So yeah, I think the two biggest takeaways here are kind of the genre expansion. It means that really it's like, stop even bothering to predict what we'll get. Yeah. We have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of have to, because there's only so many Toonami shows out a year, so
like there's some stuff they never got that they could probably go back and pick up.
Yeah, but it's also, how well do they think this is going to do? How expensive is it?
Although I wonder if the Sentai catalog is like locked off, if they're like completely all in on High Dive now.
What is High Dive?
It might be for
High Dive is Sentai's own streaming service.
It might be.
It's basically, here's the place to stream the stuff we have the rights to.
I kind of feel like if I was Sentai, and obviously High Dive, like I don't really know what I'm talking about here, but I have to imagine High Dive is not like popular among anime people. They'd rather go to Crunchyroll.
It has a space because
or like Funimation if they want to dub. But I would think if I was Sentai,
still there.
Well, no, what I was saying is, it seems like if you're a person who watches anime, you have a subscription to Crunchyroll, you have a subscription to Funimation if you want to watch dubs, and maybe like Amazon Prime, because obviously Amazon Prime.
I think you'd get Hulu before Amazon Prime.
Well, like I have Amazon Prime, but I don't watch anime just because it's Amazon Prime.
Well, I mean, if you're going for like just straight anime, you probably get Hulu over Prime.
But anyways, what I'm getting at is I think Sentai, even if they have a show that's on their streaming service, like, hey, we can take one of our shows and put it on TV and use that as a way to advertise our streaming service in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I'm kind of basically just feeling like, hey, what about Ushio and Tora or Log Horizon or something like that?
I mean, either one of those would probably be a really good pick.
Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Oh man, that's old school.
They have it on High Dive.
I don't think that High Dive matters in a show acquisition sense, for the reason that Seda just says. It's more about like exposure. So because there's there's Funimation shows we have aired, I don't know.
I think Attack on Titan.
It's just that with Crunchyroll and these Crunchyroll apparently having now be mattering now. Before it was like, it doesn't matter if Crunchyroll has it; they don't have TV rights. But now apparently they do.
But I think like with Funimation is probably the closest example that matches, where they would just air it on TV and then it went onto their service the very next day. Obviously, if something is already on Sentai's service, that's slightly different, but not that different. Really?
No. I know what Sada's saying, but it's also that Funimation has like this huge back catalog of shows. Like if you subscribe to their thing, you basically get like, I mean, what is it, like 50 to 100 shows? I mean, for a while they were like one of the few, companies doing anything.
Well, I have a question. Outlaw Star, is that Funimation now?
Yeah, it's Funimation.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously that's got a different sort of tie into Adult Swim, but like when Outlaw Star ends, I could maybe see Funimation just like, hey, here's another older show that you can air. That I guess that obviously the thing that DeMarco and co have to decide on is older shows still cost money. Is it worth paying that money, even if it is slightly cheaper than like a brand new show? And
I imagine it would have to be more than slightly cheaper, depending on how old the show is.
The thing. That's the type of thing we don't know. I have no idea if, like, for example, Yu Yu Hakusho. I'm sure people would love to have it out on the block, and I'm probably sure that it is cheaper than Attack on Titan. But how much though? No idea. Yeah,
it's also how much is it going to draw the same kind of ratings,
right? And like obviously, if you're getting something like that, you wouldn't want that to be like a headlining show,
Right, you'd put it near the back.
So, who knows?
Lots of stuff to think about in the future. Shall we talk about Dragon Ball Super?
Okay.
Dragon Ball Super episode 48. Hope! Redux. Awaken in the present, Trunks. In this episode, present Trunks experiences some kind of new and bizarre NTR form where, like, your mom has a different you.
You know what I think? I think it's legal adjacent at best.
That was a great line.
B-dubs, we were telling you to change the thread title to that.
I'm sorry, I was out most of the night. I'll go change it now.
I think the line was Pilaf talking to young Trunks, and it was like, your family's holding some deep, dark secrets that are legal adjacent at best. That's like a good line.
So yeah, the thread title should be legal adjacent at best.
In general, Pilaf was kind of the star of this episode for me. He was just genuinely funny, especially with that scene earlier on where he was giving like the math lecture.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this episode, the Pilaf gang and Trunks are now getting tutored.
You get to learn PEMDAS.
Because we have to now we have to set up the My Trunks romance in this universe too.
Yeah, I kind of wish they had included them more in the last arc, because they're fun. Like, I don't hate them.
That is something that I feel like I'm almost at a disconnect with some people. Like, some people are like, peel off again, shenanigans, this is just a waste of time. But I actually find this, in some cases, more entertaining than the actual storyline.
Yeah.
Not always. I mean, that's the thing with any sort of thing that's like comedic, is it's not always going to land, but like, I think they're fun.
Well, hopefully it should be, apparently the actual good stuff starts here.
Yeah.
And I think it's already pretty clear that like this is a little bit like, we've seen 2 episodes of this arc, and it's there's a little bit more like actually slightly interesting drama going on here rather than just like a tournament or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, this one does do a little bit more than usual right now anyway. Like, Trunks is going to have a lot of, like, almost NTR moments coming to the past. Like, has he even met Gohan yet?
Well, I mean, Future Trunks met younger Gohan already.
Well, I mean, like, in the present.
Goten.
You mean, why would you care?
Probably thinking of Goten.
No, I'm thinking like have him and I forget, but have him and Gohan.
Future Trunks already met Gohan, and they've already talked extensively. He even met his younger self when he was a baby, but obviously,
I mean like in this current arc.
Not in this arc, but he's already met him, so it's not like.
Well, no, I mean that's what I meant. I misspoke. I meant like, have they hung out yet? Does he realize that his mentor is married now?
Well, one thing I am kind of curious about is how many years is this past the Cell arc? Like, at least. Like, I think it was from Cell to Boo is like 7 years, and then this is a couple years after Boo, so let's just 10.
But with his timeline, it could be any number.
Well, that's actually I was wondering. Like, it's been 10 years in like the main timeline, but like I wonder how long it's been for Future Trunks. Like, is this just like a year later for him?
I think it's less than 10. I think it's significantly less than 10 years. It's probably like 3 or 4.
I think it's more.
Well, what made him decide to like go back to that point in time rather than at some other point in time? Like,
I don't think you're going to find an answer here unless it's in the show that we haven't seen.
Well, I mean, like I'm just like the explanation. They barely had any fuel, so whatever. Or like he picked a point where he's like, okay, this is after Cell,
so be alive at some point here. Like,
hopefully Goku's not dead, and then he pops back in the middle of the Boo saga.
Oh God!
And then he's immediately turned into chocolate.
Well, actually, that makes me wonder something. Future Trunks, when he left, like the first time, he went back to his own timeline. Goku was dead because he was dead, and then he was brought back to life. And then he left, and Goku was dead. Did he know that Goku was going to stay dead? I think he did.
In his timeline, yeah.
No, in the main timeline, when Goku decided after Cell, like, don't bring me back.
I mean, probably not.
I don't remember if he left before or after that.
Yeah, but basically, I'm wondering if Trunks was thinking Goku would be dead when he came back.
Well, I mean, he probably came back for Gohan. Well, I mean, he probably came back for Gohan, but because he's like, Gohan just kicked that guy's ass.
It's just a slightly.
It's nothing about Gohan. He's asking whether or not he thinks Goku's alive before he made the trip.
He probably thinks he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. It's not like it really matters, but it's just a slightly
Right.
amusing thing. If Trunks this whole time thought Goku was dead because he has no idea what happened in the Buu arc.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he probably either assumes that he's dead or, he got brought back at some point because, that's what keeps happening to Goku. He keeps dying and coming back.
anyways, I didn't really mean to drag on that. It's just
No,
out
it's
of
good.
We can go
curiosity.
into rabbit holes all day long. I talked last episode about the fact that it doesn't make sense that it was actually Grex who mentioned what
Yeah.
the real question you should be asking is Goku alive in future Trunks timeline? Because if he is, then that isn't consistent. So
Speaking
No,
of
he's
Goku
dead-
in
he's
Future
dead
Trunks
there.
timeline,
No, Goku is dead in Future Trunks timeline because they have no Dragon Balls.
Well, he died because of the virus,
Yeah.
a long time ago.
Right.
yeah, but there's a person that looks like Goku.
Yes.
who
Right.
speaks as if a person who looks exactly like Goku, who is called Goku Black, and speaks as if he's not a Saiyan.
I should probably
Yeah.
mention that so far they've only called him Black. They haven't called him quote Goku Black,
Right.
in the show.
But we all know he's Goku Black because of all the other material.
Well,
Yeah, right.
will the dub call him that? At any point, or will they just call him
I
Black?
think next episode.
Okay. I mean, who knows? Doesn't really matter. Just curious.
I agree
Yeah,
with you, Seda. I found that a little surprising too that they didn't say it that way.
Apparently, they do it next episode.
I bet Goku comes up with a name or something like another Goku, but he's black. You should call him Goku Black. Well, he's not actually black. You get what I
He
mean.
just has black hair.
Yeah.
Which
But Vegeta,
Goku
he's not
also-
black. Then Vegeta's like, but Goku, he's not. But Kakarot, he's not black.
He wears black. He wears black.
It's Piccolo, but black. Unless Piccolo,
Piccolo
is
is
already
black.
black.
No, Piccolo is already black. That's been established.
Anyways,
Anyway,
we don't know anything about Goku Black at this point, other than it's obviously supposed to be the mystery of the arc. Is
Well,
why is there a
yeah.
guy named Goku and why is there a guy that looks like Goku and why is he an evil dickhead and whatnot?
Also, and gosh, if for you guys who've seen this, don't say anything. But
No.
it's so obvious to me as someone who's not seen it that he's wearing one of the freaking earrings that the Kais wear.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like that's gotta mean something.
I mean, I'm.
See, you're gonna do it. Don't do it.
No, I'm not going to do it.
I'm not saying
just like,
anything.
I'm just like, that was a good observation on your part.
Thank
In
you.
Now
fact-
the trick is figuring out what that means.
Yeah, it's
fact,
so obvious. Yeah,
To
Something's
prevent
happening
this, let's move on to Dragon Ball Z Kai.
there. Okay.
Dragon Ball Z Kai, the final chapter is episode 147. On a roll, boo boo volleyball, because your moms are dead. Take this not seriously.
I rented
is the worst.
Dragon Ball Fighters and Trunks or what's his name?
Gotenks.
I said
Trunkton. It's definitely Trunkton.
Trumped.
Whatever. Gotenks. His super move is that move that we saw in this episode with the volleyball.
Yeah, that's one of his supers.
They couldn't
Yeah.
even give him a super that doesn't suck.
No,
I
he's
remember
got
one
the
of the
ghost.
earlier
He's got the.
It was
No,
the Ghost Kamikaze attack.
No, he has that one in this too.
Oh yeah, but they always change which one of the attacks is the super move type of thing. So,
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
sometimes it might be like his galactic donut or whatever. But that's the thing about
He actually
that's the
he's got
thing
that one
about,
too.
that's the thing about Gotenks though, is that he's kind of an annoying character, but his moveset is like so weird and unique that's
Yeah.
why he's important to have in the games.
Because he changes it up.
Because
It's interesting.
goddamn, when you're making a Dragon Ball fighting game and every character does the exact same stuff, you need that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting that I went to the game and I saw him do that move, and it was like, had I not seen this episode this week, I would not have known what the hell was going on there.
I think this year I'm going to make a short list for all the categories for next year. And number one with a bullet on list of worst character is going to be Gotenks.
I will say
I-
I don't totally hate the fact that his fight with Boo is kind of like a more jokey, non-serious fight. Like with him, I don't know, like making up his stupid, move names and whatnot. But I do think they just they don't play it up. I don't think it's like the
Right.
amount they play it up. It's just kind of how they play it up. They make him like more annoying than he kind of
Yes,
needs to be.
Yeah.
Like I feel
Yeah.
like they could have more fun with him without making
But
him as annoying as they did.
Right.
Also,
that's
this episode.
Oh wait, before you say it though, I just want to tack on to what Seda said. The issue that I see that feels real clear to me about the mistake with Gotenks is that the comedic sort of show offiness of his battle with Boo would work a lot better if we were on his side. But the problem is that Gotenks annoys the audience.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they can have all his like moves and stuff and have him be jokey and fun, but as it is right now, it's sort of like, really, you know, like it's just really, this is annoying. Go away.
Also in this episode, apparently Kami is still in there in Piccolo because Piccolo was just losing his goddamn mind that the lookout is destroyed.
That almost felt out of character in a way. I don't even know if it technically was though, because of Kami, where like he's so like focused on the lookout being damaged, like half the world is destroyed and almost the entire population. Wish him back. Almost the entire population is whatever, and he's like still at least, you know, focused on we have to stop Boo. And then like as soon as his lookout gets damaged, he's like, no, the lookout. Like, really, that's the thing that you're concerned with right now?
I mean, that's probably the harder thing to fix.
So
I was just thinking this is basically just a Team 4-star plot. Like Kami, like, you know how they do basically in the show. Kami and Nail don't talk; they disappear. But in them, they just keep him in his mind, and they talk constantly. And it would just be Kami losing his goddamn mind.
God damn it! That's my house, you little shit. No, they really need to do the Boo arc. I hope they do. Like,
they're not going to do the Boo arc.
Yeah, they said they probably won't. But
this upcoming finale of the Cell Saga is their finale.
That makes me sad.
Well, I've been doing it for a long time, and you know.
Yeah, I know.
And they're clearly like trying to find what are we without Dragon Ball Z abridged?
Yeah.
We're this other thing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it does look like they're sort of getting into like actual dubbing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they probably can't keep doing abridged if they want to go into that. So, you know, it's like, it's still depressing that they're not going to be able to do Boo, because, I mean, that's just rife for, you know, their exact sort of fuckery.
Yeah, not to dwell on this too long, but Boo is just kind of so silly and weird that there's a lot to make fun of, like more than there already is.
Like, he's a ridiculous bubblegum monster who turns people into candy and eats them.
Made a house
the greatest threat to the universe ever.
Yeah, anyway. And then everyone keeps holding the idiot ball.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I still think the most succinct way to describe Dragon Ball Z to somebody who like somehow is not aware of it is idiots with superpowers.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Did you see? I don't know if you
with wrestling.
I don't know if you guys do pay attention to Giant Bomb at all, but like Dan Reichert and Jeff Gertzman, two of the most like I'll never like Jeff. Anime is for jerks. Gertzman.
But I saw on Twitter. Like, I don't really follow Giant Bomb, but I see people retweet their stuff or whatever. I saw that they both bought like the Kai Blu-rays because of the game.
And it's of course they would, because they love wrestling.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z is wrestling.
Yeah, it's anime wrestling with idiots.
With superpowers.
Yes.
So it's wrestling.
I like Seta's thing where it's like idiots with superpowers, yeah.
That's what that's what it is. And it's actually sometimes fun when you're trying to, like, I almost think Dragon Ball Z is most fun when you have like these quote idiots with superpowers like trying to like fit into normal life. Like those
are the best.
Like those in between arc scenes that we've seen in Super. Like some of those one-off fillers. Yeah.
Or like when Goku and Piccolo learn to drive cars, or Gohan goes to college or high school. Like that stuff is the best.
Anyways, have we talked enough about Dragon Ball?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'll end it by saying...
talk about the episode? I don't know.
No, I'll say the last thing. Basically, the episode ends with Gotenks Super Saiyan 3 wears off at the last second.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. With perfect timing. Yep.
Wah, wah.
So what happens when you fuck around?
They couldn't have the arc end just yet.
It's like, we need to continue twisting ourselves into a pretzel to make Goku win.
Yeah. Well, I mean they Gohan, still got. Right? Gohan's still powering up.
No, Gohan's totally gonna win. I mean, they've spent all this time on his weird, goofy training. It's gotta be right. Totally.
I mean, it's got to do something.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Black Clover. Black Clover, episode 7. Another new member. Another new member.
I want to die.
Yeah. I will say, it's not. I don't even know this character's name. I think it's like Magnus or something.
I don't care what her name is.
I like Ian Sinclair because he's Ian Sinclair.
Well, yeah, Ian Sinclair is good because he's
I'm going to start up by saying that as much as I shit on this show regularly, the Black Bulls at the end of this episode, I didn't mind them that much because they were kind of nice. And so for some reason, I had a moment where I went, okay, they're all right, I guess. Even though
they'll start yelling again.
I'm sure.
Give them a minute.
But at the end of this episode, they were kind of tolerable and like almost a little bit like, because they were like, I like the whole little speech, again, given by Ian Sinclair, which makes a big difference. He was just sort of like, it's okay if you suck at your magic. We all suck at magic. That's what this is about. We're the group of people who suck. And that was kind of like, that's a nice thing to say. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
I will say, so the obvious, I don't know if this is just a stupid hot take on my part, but the obvious expectation was that this new character, whose name I don't know, this girl, would be Sundari. And she mostly was. But the thing that actually, like, I appreciated just enough, I would say, at the end of the episode, she was like, she actually seemed honestly appreciative that they were like, they didn't insult her and her inability to control magic. Like, she actually was like, seemed honest and upfront, like, wow, these people seem to care and they're not insulting me. Like, in my mind, a more stereotypical Sundari would be like, well, I can't.
She would go right back to being the princess.
Right. So, like, I'm almost wondering, like, if going forward now, she's going to kind of revert back to herself that we saw, like, at the beginning of the episode, or if she's going to be more, like, trying to fit in.
I mean, the first thing I saw of her character was a screen cap where she says, I'm royal. You should be glad I got out of bed today.
But I'm just kind of wondering, like, obviously this series is pretty long. It's already 50-some episodes, and it's still ongoing or whatnot. But
no, it's 51 episodes.
I said 50-some. I didn't know, and it's still ongoing, like the manga, right?
Yeah.
So it might get more after that.
Anime ongoing.
Yeah. Well, how many episodes have aired in Japan? Like 15, 20-ish?
Something like that.
Anyways, what I'm getting at is I wonder if she's going to revert back to her old self. Or, like, is she going to be more like trying to fit in, trying to be like, this is how a normal person like acts because she's so used to being a royal? It kind of all depends on how they go from here. I do think her first episode here was pretty typical and expected, but like, I feel like it's not enough to like judge her character on yet. Cause like, what if, I have no idea. What if like this episode is really the only episode where she acts like a royal bitch, and in future episodes she's more subdued and like trying to be like more of like like a fish out of water type character type of thing. Like it all depends on how she goes from here. Who knows?
I thought the same exact thing when I was watching, because I had that same feeling too at the end of this episode, because again, I expected her to immediately turn up her nose and walk away and say a snide remark, and she didn't do that. But if I had to guess, I'm going to bet on the fact that she will probably be a mix. So she'll end up being stuck up from time to time, but then be like a friend to them when needed.
Yeah.
So that's my guess, but I don't know. I mean, like, you're right. Example, it would be really interesting if she just suddenly had a character arc.
I kind of expect her to be Sundari to Asta, because it's sort of like, yes, she's the Sundari love interest character,
I just kind of feel like I don't want to be too quick to project onto her, oh, these are what all Sundaris act like, and she's totally going to act like that, and like, what if she doesn't, type of thing. Like,
everybody kept calling her Sundari, but I don't really think that fits, because all I saw was somebody who was stuck up and then like had a bunch of what she considers lowlifes help her, and then she suddenly accepted them. There wasn't really any kind of like, she didn't even show any attraction to Asta at all.
Yeah, and what I guess I'm probably giving Black Clover too much credit here. I mean, but you can take a character and have them change from their introduction to, 50 episodes on the line, how they act. So like, I feel like you have to at least give them a chance to have development. It may not be well done. Even it may not be, superbly executed, but like I feel like you got to give them a chance.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Well, we got another scene in this episode too, where we cut over to see Yuno and how he's fitting in, and basically his situation is
Everyone's assholes.
everyone. Yeah, and I made the point in the thread to point out that I think everyone in this world, except for our main cast, are like the celestial dragons, basically.
Yeah.
Everyone is a elitist asshole to everyone else.
I mean, that's a little bit harsh on these guys. The Celestial Dragons are fucking garbage.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
it was an exaggeration, but nonetheless, Yuno is being treated like you don't belong here, commoner. What are you doing here? Get out of here.
Mhm.
But they have to let him in because he was voted in or whatever.
Yeah.
I will say that like this element feels very typical in a way, where you have like, and obviously a very skilled character like basically being disparaged against because of his birth, or in other shows it might be because of their race or whatever. And like there's going to be this whole classism element here, and eventually is going to either gain their respect because he like does something really heroic that saves them, or he's eventually just going to like turn against them somehow. So,
Yeah.
who knows?
I did like the one thing I liked from the scene is the one other thing from this episode is like here's like the love room, and it's a torture dungeon.
I don't remember. I don't actually remember that.
Like it was when like Ian Sinclair was running around.
Oh right,
in the tour. Here's the bathroom. You're dead.
Yeah, that was great. Because he walks into the main dude taking a dump, and then they cut back into it again, and he's like, "You're dead."
Why would you do that?
Also,
Pretty
like
funny.
Marilyn Manson continues to make me laugh every time. I literally can't understand what he's saying.
No one can understand what he's saying.
I feel like I want to mention, even though this is just like a common anime thing, maybe is there's that one woman character who's like a power seems to be that she can make clothes. Like the first time we see her, she's like in her what it looks like just in her underwear. And I was just kind of thinking at the time, like, oh, she's drunk or whatever, and just because of the scene. And then like several days later, she's just still in her underwear. That's just what she normally wears.
Yeah,
I guess
that's their thing.
Like, thanks, anime.
Also, that
She's
one
just
dude is going to
quiet.
continue shoving the picture of his sister in your face.
Yeah,
and
he
he's gonna have
doesn't
a
need to be.
nosebleed. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be arrested at all.
Nope. Let's talk about Stardust Crusaders.
Yay.
Stardust Crusaders, episode 22, Judgment, part 2. So, I mean, speaking of hinting,
Yep.
we were
He's
kind of
back.
we were kind of like, hey, that's totally the actual Avdol, right?
I'll actually
Well, I
say,
mean-
when it showed Abdal's dad, quote, dad, I actually just thought it was his dad. Like,
Thank you.
like,
Thank
I-
you.
It's just like it looks
Well, I
just
thought it
like
was
him.
just gonna be like an anime thing where like
Look,
even in real life, people don't look that much like their parents.
I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
Usually in anime or other cartoons, they make the familial similarities like ridiculously similar, even if that's not realistic. I just thought that's all it was. Like, oh,
I went back and I watched that episode again, and I looked at that scene, and he had white hair.
he
He
died.
had white hair. That was
Really?
enough for me. I'm like, okay, it's not the same character. He has white hair. I was wrong. I was wrong with you, Seda. I thought it was his dad too.
I actually thought, well, I knew because of all the teasing that Abdal was going to come back, but
Yeah.
even then I thought that was his dad, and it was going to be like some sort of reunion scene with Abdal and his lookalike dad. Like, I just thought the lookalike thing was just, anime being uncreative.
Yeah.
That's all I thought it was.
So yeah, Avdol's back, and thanks to a bullet wound in his head, he now has a wonderful new personality. He
I like that.
takes a lot.
I do
He's so
like
much
that
better.
they actually acknowledged that in a way, or at least the dub did. It's
Like Polnareff's just like,
is that really
are
you?
you-
You're acting different.
you're acting a bit different, and Avdol's like, nonsense. Now,
I was
whip out your
shocked.
dick.
And
Well,
pee
I mean,
down
what do
this
you-
guy's blowhole here.
This show has had a bit of a scatological obsession recently.
One thing also that made me think that was his dad is the ridiculous way that they end up at the end of the episode explaining why only Polnareff was not let in on this secret, and it was because literally they thought that Polnareff would just blab.
Well, it's because he probably would.
Maybe, but it's like every other Crusader knew that what's his face was alive, but they didn't tell Polnareff because they're like, "You talk too much."
He's right.
It's a weird sort of like retcon. Like obvious, when Araki was originally writing this, Avdol was dead, and the reason why these people weren't bringing it up was because he was actually dead. So it's kind of a weird retcon. Like obviously we didn't bring it up.
When you look at the manga panel, the bullet goes straight through his head.
Yeah, somebody pointed that out on the thread that like, yeah, in the manga the bullet goes through his head, but apparently when David Productions did the anime, they changed it in that scene to make it look a little more like it could have ricocheted.
Yeah, they really made his head like fly back and it go
just because they knew the retcon was going to happen.
Yeah. Also, Avdol's a bit of a catchphrase machine in this episode.
He's the best.
Like in the Japanese version, he just says, "Yes, I am." And then "Hell to you."
Yeah, they changed "Hail to you" to "Hell to you."
And just to be clear, is "Hail to you" what they said in Japanese? Like,
yes.
Okay.
I can remember.
Well, they animated it. It was on the screen.
The first time he says it, it straight up shows up on the screen.
Yep.
I don't know what that means though. What does anyone can explain that?
It's kind of it's a nonsensical catchphrase.
English.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a reference to music or anything?
Nope, I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
Also, I've completely forgotten what this stand user's music reference is.
It doesn't matter.
What was the stand user's name even?
They never said.
Who cares?
He just got blown up, and then there was unfortunate blackface.
I don't want to be too critical, but Avdol's English voice is probably one of the weakest ones, I think, unfortunately. I feel like he's like struggling to talk almost. It feels like it's uncomfortable, and that's like the one thing that really kind of like irks me. I mean, it's okay. It's just,
like his tongue is swollen, and he's constantly trying to talk around it.
It just sounds
also
uncomfortable.
In this episode, Judgment can bring back Avdol with clothes on. Not Sherry.
And stuff like this is why I kind of like they were talking earlier about whether or not they'd have to consider if the Hot Springs episode would air for Outlaw Star. Like they aired all of Kill la Kill with increasingly minor edits as it went along. And like we get scenes like this one where this woman is like,
well, they were actually increasingly major because they straight up cut out that entire bath scene.
Well, besides that one bath scene, which I think was more cut out, not because of like what was what skin was exposed, but because what was actually happening, which was like fondling. Like it was more the action than the exposed skin, I think, on that one. But I remember the second half of Kill la Kill, besides like that one, there was like surprisingly like little edits at all, especially considering how little clothes everyone is wearing.
Well, here's the question. The question I don't have the answer to, maybe you do, is do they show nipples in Outlaw Star?
That's the thing.
That's probably the thing they need to edit. That's probably the thing they need to edit.
And because in this JoJo episode, like we got pretty much full-on shots of the naked woman, his sister, but she had Barbie doll, body, no nipples.
Yeah.
So like, I guess that's fine, as long as there aren't any nipples.
Yep. America has a thing with nipples. We can't see them.
We've seen that in other shows too, like even Samurai Champloo. There's like it showed like a painting of a naked woman, and it was like totally fine to show this painting, except just little small blurs on the nipples. That's just how it is. The rest of the painting is fine.
What are you gonna do? What, you're gonna censor Michelangelo's David?
Yes.
Yes.
Male nipples are okay though.
Yeah. Oh, male nipples are fine because they aren't sexual.
Oh, that kind of reminds me of like how they had to blur the baby poop. Was that?
Oh, God.
That wasn't in like that. And I know the Japanese airing had to censor other things like the violent stuff.
Yeah,
but
sometimes
cigarettes.
Sometimes you can see some stuff they forgot to uncensor, like one of those shots of the dog from Death 13. He was mostly uncensored, and then there was one shot they clearly forgot to take the black thing off the screen.
I always like to say that like Japan and America are like the opposites when it comes to censorship, because Japan doesn't give a crap about sexuality, but they'll censor ultraviolence. And America's the opposite. Like, you can have all the ultraviolence you want, but don't show a nipple.
Well, that was so weird. Like, I can sort of understand, like censoring even like a baby's penis. Like, it's like, oh yeah, it's a baby. Like, I can sort of understand that, I guess. Yeah. But like their poop, really? Like, what?
Well, you know what though? I almost thought that was a joke, like deliberately.
But was it like that in the original Japanese area?
I don't know.
Oh, if it was,
I did think it was just, they did it for a laugh. Like, I was reading this one manga series, and these two characters held hands, and they blurred it just because they're like, oh, how lewd consensual hand holding.
I will say, whether or not it was intentional, it was amusing. Like, they blurred the baby poop.
Anything else from this episode? The fight actually is pretty bad because it's just kind of like, you didn't kick me hard enough, and then Abdul's like, I just didn't decide to kick you hard enough. Now I am.
I think it's more, the whole point is more just supposed to be the surprise rather than the actual combat in a sense. So
it's supposed to be, oh man, Abdul's back, and he's awesome now.
So does he kind of act like this? Like, I guess it's a character spoiler, but like, is this kind of like his personality going forward? Or does he just kind of fade back into the background again?
I hope this is him going forward.
I mean, this will continue to be the Jotaro and Polnareff show. He gets maybe one or two more fights in the show.
I will say, people kept mentioning how like Polnareff is almost like feels like the main character because he gets so much focus, and so far that rings true. There's a lot of episodes that focus on him.
I mean, it is the the Crusaders definitely do not get equal screen time, and basically all but every character who's not Jotaro and Polnareff has gotten like a fight.
Just the one.
And then Jotaro and Polnareff like trade off all the other ones. Oh well. Guys, want to talk about Gundam?
Sure.
All right.
Mobile Suit Gundam, Iron-Blooded Orphans, episode 38, Hunter of Angels. In this episode, man, Mika's fucking crazy.
That whole first fight sequence was great.
Yeah, if the rest of the series is going to be like that, then yes.
That was the first fight in this show that has actually made an impression on me. One because it's only one dude versus one thing, and then it's not like a bunch of machines flying around. It's like, I don't know who's who.
It's not hard to keep track of, and it was just awesome.
Yeah. And then he wins with like a casual life-saving head tilt.
Mm-hmm.
Like the dust clears and the sword's shoved into the cockpit, but he's just like, nope.
I will say, I really like Kyle McCarthy's portrayal of Mika. He has a calming voice. Kyle does. Like his other characters that he's voiced, like for example, 9S and Your Automata. I think that's one reason why he's cast for those types of characters. He has like a really like soft-spoken, quiet, calming voice. And for Mika,
oh god, he's 9S.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he does an amazing job there.
Like you didn't even realize it.
Yeah, but like his Mika voice is slightly different, but I think it still has like a weird like he's like so calm about everything, about things he really shouldn't be calm about, and I think that kind of is fits Mika's character.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like the voice is like he's got this calm voice, but at the same time, it does feel like there's this sort of edge as an undercurrent.
Right.
Like you feel like, oh, this guy can go off at any minute.
He's kind of like a casual, like he's not like it almost feels like he doesn't have like testosterone flowing through him where he's like really amped up or anything. He's just like calmly, casually, I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah, he's got kind of like a psychological issue going on, and the way he's portrayed is that he's like almost like
he's a fucking psychopath.
You should be afraid of him because he's like he's just not right in the head.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been my impression of him. He's always like, it just feels like he he's kind of like one of those villains almost, who's just always real calm and collected when they're doing something terrible,
Right?
even though he's the good guy.
He's like a Johann Liebert,
That
Whoa.
monster.
the monster guy.
Yeah,
I don't actually
I
know
recognize the
exactly
name, but I haven't seen or read.
I assume he's like that.
This brings me up to one of the more interesting parts of the episode, involving around our favorite characters, Cordelia and Atra.
Oh God.
One
So,
of our
like,
favorite characters.
Atra kind of has this, like, in a sense, realization that basically how I read into it was that Mika is so basically focused on fighting this battle, whether it's for his own sake or for Orga's sake, doesn't matter. Mika is so determined to do this that he's almost going to, like, inadvertently kill himself. Like, that's almost like the inevitable outcome. He's not like trying to kill himself. He's not looking to kill himself.
Right. It's just what's going to happen.
It's what's going to happen if Mika keeps doing basically what he's doing.
Although
I think both of them had that.
Orga, where he's like, yeah, I don't think there's a place for me in your new world, so I'm probably going to go at this until I die.
But it's almost just like, it's not like he's trying to kill himself. It's like he kind of just understands it and almost like doesn't care. He just kind of accepts it. But like once Atra kind of realizes this, that basically, like, if this keeps going, he's going to die. And there's like this scene that was shaping up to be pretty well done emotional scene where it's like, what are we going to do with Mika here? We care about him. We don't want him to die. And then I was actually like feeling it, like thinking to myself, this is actually, I'm actually like, this is not melodrama. This is actually
good
drama. And then it's like, so I want you to have his baby. And it's just like
wait, what?
Record scratch. See, Kohler insert an actual record scratch here.
Yeah. I was sort of like, what the fuck? I'm like, I sort of had that same reaction Seda did. I'm like, this is a really good scene. Like, they both had this important realization about the character. They're both going to try and, help him going forward. But
like,
no, instead it's like,
regardless of love triangle stuff or romance, just on a base level, these characters care about each other.
Right.
Like, all three of them care about each other. So like, it's sensible and it makes sense that they are this is something that is really upsetting to them, and that this is something that they are tearful about and fearful of, and they're sad.
Exactly.
Then, I don't know if this is supposed to be like comedic or if it's supposed to be that like Atra is young and her logic is just a little bit childish or something, where it's like, I want you to have this baby. And it doesn't even explain what she's trying to think here. It literally cuts away to another scene right away. Like, wait, what?
I'm sort of like,
smash cut to Cordelia and Mikazuki have been locked in a closet, and Atra's like, I'm not letting you out until you fuck.
Oh God, no! But like, I'm sort of like, what the hell is going through her head there?
My guess, what the logic is supposed to be here is, like,
she wants another Mika
is going to die. We need something to like.
Replace him?
We need something to replace him, and why not?
Well, not replace, but like.
Well, I mean, fill the void. I guess.
I read it as like, it's kind of it's a little bit of a kind of wink joke. It's like, oh yeah, Atra, because they did the same joke in the first season. Where she wanted to have they
wanted to have their own harem.
Right. And then, but I think it's partly a joke. That's why they cut away. And then it's also, I think but was spurred on in Atra's mind by the fact that it's like, she's really afraid that Mikazuki is going to die, and they want, she wants him to have a legacy, before, to have a child before he dies, basically. And what's strange to me, and I mean, maybe this is going to sound weird no matter how I say it, so I'll just say it. It's like, I don't understand why she's going to Cordelia for this. I know that she's a little younger, but she's not that much younger than Mikazuki. I don't know. Maybe it's that
maybe she hasn't had a period yet.
Why is she pressuring Cordelia? I don't know. It's a weird thing. I think it's a joke.
I think Cordelia, or I wonder if they're gonna like. I do think it was mostly supposed to be a joke, and that's evidenced by the fact that they did cut away from it right away. So I think it is supposed to be like not something we take fully seriously.
But that was the wrong place to put it.
It was a little bit weird, but I do think there's kind of a mix. I think it is supposed to be somewhat indicative that Atra is a little bit childish, like whether or not she thinks she's not capable of having a baby or whatever, or if she's just like so altruistic in a sense, like I'll let you have the baby and that'll still make me happy.
Or it could also be like she doesn't really believe that a relationship with her and Mikazuki is real, whereas the one with Kudelia is more because they kissed, something like that.
Yeah, I do think it's supposed to be a little bit of a childish logic that is of not really supposed to make full sense. But that's just
it didn't totally ruin the scene for me, but it was like, why did you didn't have to go there? Because it's like not a really funny joke either. It's just sort of like, what?
Yeah. But I am convinced now that Mika is going to die. Like, that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably not going to make it out. Or, hilariously, he might be the one to make it out and Orga dies.
Well, one thing we do know that's sort of becoming apparent to me is that the more he uses Barbatos, more he keeps losing pieces of himself to Barbatos. So
so to beat the mobile armory, he sacrificed his entire right side.
It is possible that maybe he doesn't die, but he ends up like
in Barbatos. Totally I sort of had that thought too. Like maybe
Hush
he might.
Like Hush now exists to potato sack him around.
That was funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of like, oh, they probably got him a nice wheelchair. Nope, they just threw him over the shoulder or like a sack of potatoes. It's like, build this man a wheelchair. God damn it.
And Mika, true to his character, like doesn't seem
bothered
by this at all. It's just like, pick me up, please. Take me
over. It's like, yeah. Orga needs to be like, no, this is not okay. We're gonna get like a wheelchair or something. Because what the fuck?
Well, also, and what's also strange and probably is important to note is that apparently when he's plugged into Barbatos, he gets control of his body back.
Yeah,
he's going to end up stuck to a machine.
Either that, or he's going to end the series like a quadriplegic or completely paralyzed or locked in syndrome or something. But it is strange that there's something going on with the Alea Vignana system with him and Barbatos, where if he's plugged in, he gets his motor functions back, but when he's unplugged now, he keeps losing parts of his body. He lost his eye, and now he's lost his whole side.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just to bounce off what you were saying, sorry. It is like in other shows, it might be like a character kind of has this almost like emotional dependence on like the robot or whatever, where they kind of like feel like they're not complete without it, like, but only in like an emotional, like physical, or only in an emotional or mental sense. But his is like literally like he is actually physically dependent on this to be a whole person. So it's interesting in that way. But yeah, I will say in general that this show is. The second season has been stronger than the first. It has a couple of low points early on, but I feel like I'm actually pretty invested in this now. There's still parts of it that are still kind of tedious and annoying, but I am invested in. Like, I am definitely curious to see what happens next in a sense.
Speaking of annoying, Local Man.
Oh god! Like the fact that he was like, "Oh, I did nothing wrong." I'm like, dude, this is literally all your fault. Like everything was going fine until you showed up. How can you think that, yes, this is this other guy's fault? You're the one that started all of this.
I will say that it is pretty clear and obvious that we're meant to hate him and he's meant to be a dipshit.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's going too far, I guess.
Well, I mean, it was a laugh, but at the same time,
so hateable.
He really.
I like him for that reason. You love to hate him.
It's definitely it's better than the alternative where it's some character that like we're supposed to love but we hate because they don't give us a reason to love them. I don't know, like Naruto or something. But or Sasuke, I don't know.
And like what Seda said a moment ago,
Sasuke.
And like what Seda said a moment ago, I'll kind of echo a little bit of what he said about the fact that I definitely am enjoying this show a lot and much more now than ever. And with the exception of like the periodic scenes where Orga has to go talk to the mafia leader guy, and those kind of like those scenes bore me, honestly.
Well, I mean, in this episode, he basically is like, "Here's a thing you can smash when we betray you."
Right, the little tea ceremony dish or whatever.
It's like,
But like those scenes are the ones where I'm usually like, oh god, here's a talky scene where they're just going to talk politics for 5 minutes. But then when we cut back to like Tekkaden, and those characters, it's always engaging and interesting, and I'm enjoying that.
It does kind of feel like this is obviously supposed to be Orga like making a mistake. Like I don't think we're supposed to be rooting for him and like trying to become the sovereign of Mars or whatever. Like it's kind of like his ambitions are getting the better of him. At least that's how I read it. And
yeah.
So like some people watching this, obviously I don't know what happens. They might be too quick to say, well, Orga's an idiot now, but like, okay, let him have, this period of weakness and we'll see where it goes from there. And if he can grow from it or however, but I think it is supposed to be something that we're not really supposed to be rooting for Orga in this regard. I think at least.
Yeah. I don't know if I would call him an idiot. I would just say like, I think what's happening to me is I'm seeing this character who's trying his hardest, but might be getting in over his head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, more on that in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, want to talk about Hunter x Hunter?
Okay.
Hunter x Hunter episode 81. The fight begins and then ends immediately.
Wait, what fight?
A fight with a giant Easter bunny.
Like literally, I think the voice actor on Twitter was like, "I play somebody's fan art that went horribly south."
This is true.
Wasn't the voice actor Tony Oliver? Or
something like that? I don't know.
He's also the director for the dub. I might be maybe getting mixed up with another character. I don't like know any of these like characters' names. All these different chimeras.
Well, I mean, nobody cares what this guy's name is.
Well, that's the thing.
Apparently, this guy's name is Ramot.
Like I know some of them are like explanatory. Like I think the one that looks like a cheetah is named Chidu. Like, oh, okay. But there's a bunch of these characters.
Probably
like,
know Colt because he's been in every episode.
Yeah.
See, I don't know Colt. I'm going to assume by what you just said, he's like the winged guy with the beak and the black hair.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
yeah. Okay.
He's Colt, and because Colt sounds a lot like Kurt.
But like the thing is, like all these chimeras is like, oh, there's the scorpion woman, even if she's actually a male, I guess, because they're all male. I don't know how that works. I just saw people mentioning that. And then there's like the old kawaii spider guy. There's
he's
the penguin.
worst.
There's the cheetah
Peggy!
dude. There's like this other guy who like found a gun and went crazy with it. And like I don't know who these characters like their names are. It's just like, okay, there's a bunch of weirdos. Okay.
I love Peggy because he's just an evil penguin.
I love his voice.
And he's Peggy. Hello, I'm Peggy.
I have a very distinguished voice.
That's all I love about Peggy. And that's it.
Well, he's supposed to be, it's clear he's supposed to be one of the more competent ones. But anyways, so what happened this episode? Like I paid attention, but there's a couple episodes I didn't really pay attention, so I'm a little bit lost, I'll be honest.
Basically, the gang ran into Ramot, and then Kite was like, this guy ain't shit, you guys take care of him. And then they kind of started to fight, and then Colt was like, nope.
Ramot is the Easter Bunny winged weird dude, right?
Yeah. I mean, they basically like, they sent him blasting off again, but they didn't do enough damage to kill him.
Now, just to kind of get my bearings straight on like what the actual goal is. The goal is to stop the chimeras from like eating people and making a king. Is that basically the overall goal?
Yeah, they basically have to kill all the chimera ants, specifically the queen.
Okay.
They also spent a large portion of this episode having the chimera ants come to the realization that there are humans out there that are different from others, aka they have Nen, and that they're worth more and nourishment, aka can produce more powerful chimera ants.
Right. So now they're going to be hunting down, basically hunters and Nen users.
Yep.
And there was that one chimera. I don't even know what he looked like because all these visuals are so clashing.
Penguin?
No, there's this one. The lion, where he's like,
it was a lion in a hoodie.
Okay, the lion was basically like, I don't want to give up these super valuable guys to the queen to make a king. I want to eat one of these guys for myself.
No, his thing was like, oh yeah, we totally we meet our quota and then we eat a lot of more humans. Everyone does it except you guys, Colt. Goody two shoes, Colt.
Anyways, it seems like there's a little bit of this inter chimera squabbles that are starting up, I guess. So
I think in part due to like some of the guys that are getting eaten are good guys and other guys are like, drug runners and shit. So
The only thing I'm wondering about is there's so many chimeras like kind of floating around. Like it feels like there's like a dozen of them. Like I wonder, are they all going to be like are they all going to be like sequentially like offed eventually? Like, oh, he died. Oh, now Killua killed that one. Gon killed that one. I don't know.
I can tell you that this arc does not end in any sort of like a clean fashion, just like every arc in this show except Greed Island.
That is true. Like if I wasn't really familiar with Hunter x Hunter before, I would almost assume like the Phantom Troop would be offed one by one, but they weren't. Only like a couple died, right?
Like they're still around.
Like which ones died? Uvogan and the girl, and is that it?
Yeah, that was it.
So far,
so maybe some of the chimeras will stick around, but there's just so many of them. I have a hard time imagining that they're all going to stick around.
Right. I mean, some of them are naturally going to get like their asses handed to them. But
the only one I want to die is that stupid spider with the goofy face.
Oh, he definitely has to die.
Some people like keep mentioning that they like really don't like his voice, and I'm kind of curious what he sounds like in Japanese.
It's probably something like how they changed the English voice of Frankie is Patrick Seats, but then in Japanese it was Kazuki Yao for a while, and it's like no English speaker can make this noise.
I just kind of wonder like how else like what does an elderly like flamboyant spider monster thing like? What do you expect them to sound like? I have no idea.
I just hate his stupid Yoi face that he's always got and those goofy eyes.
Right.
I don't even really care about his voice. It's just his like.
I just saw a lot of people mentioning it, kind of in almost like a disdain, like his voice. It's not just his voice; it's his whole character. His voice is as weird as his design.
He's like a joke, but he's not a funny joke.
I can confirm because I don't think people really care one way or another. Pike does die.
See the spider.
Huh?
Okay.
Is Pike the spider? I don't know their names. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. You can't describe these characters by name because there's too many of them to remember.
Weird, creepy spider dude.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I can't think of anything that happened in this episode other than the exposition scene and then the fight at the end.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was a lot of talking. It was a lot of Chimera ants talking.
Yeah. And we saw Killua hit a guy with a thunderbolt. That was pretty goddamn hype.
Oh yeah, that was Pikachu.
I'm like, damn son, I didn't know you could do that.
Oh yeah, and John got to use his John Ken rock.
Yeah, like even Kite was like, damn, he can shoot lightning like that. That's cool.
Nothing else about this episode?
All right. I got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Naruto Shippuden? Outlaw Star? Outlaw Star, episode 19, okay. Law and Lawlessness, unless we actually want to talk about Naruto Shippuden. No.
Nope.
I'll just say 2 words. Conch King. Conch King.
I didn't even watch the episode.
All hail the magic conch. Anyway.
Conch is more accurately pronounced conch. Like I was actually kind of surprised that they pronounced it like that because that's technically how it's supposed to be pronounced. Conch is technically incorrect, I guess. I learned that on the Food Network.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Naruto. Even Jiraiya couldn't save that episode. It was bad.
No one can save that episode.
Outlaw Star. In this episode, they try to they do the backdoor pilot thing where it's like, can't wait. Get ready for this series based on Bara Lizard and other girl.
Angel Links.
Nobody remembers the show.
No, I didn't know it existed until people were bringing it up.
Wait, there was I don't remember the episode enough. They actually tied into that?
I mean, basically, these 2 characters they kept talking to, the Bara Lizard and What's-Her-Face.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Are in Angel Links.
Oh.
They're part of the main cast of that show, yeah.
I thought Angel Links took place 150 years in the future or something. Like that's what I saw on the wiki the other week when I was looking for the episode title.
Well, I was looking at the poster for Angel Links and there was another Bara Lizard dude there, so I don't know.
Well, and the girl is definitely the same girl. She has the same exact hair.
That's just weird.
I don't know. Not a great episode.
People were calling the Angel Boobs was a more accurate title for that show, apparently.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, this episode was not. It did feel like hey, let's try to make a spin-off here and tie it into our main show. Like they really were banking on Outlaw Star to be a huge success or something. But basically, they get captured by this military force and detained while real pirates are trying to blow up the station, and then the Outlaw Star ends up helping these characters because they have to be nice to these characters because they're going to have a spin-off show.
Yeah, honestly, it's sort of like just looking at how like it feels a little bit like they wanted to go like the Marvel route with Outlaw Star and just have like a whole universe of like shit going on that's like vaguely interconnected, and maybe they hang out at some point in the future, but it obviously never panned out.
It was kind of like, this doesn't happen like ever, these sort of backdoor pilots, so you wouldn't really, I don't know, anticipate it. But like especially the girl, the policewoman or whatever she was, the blonde hair, like her design was like unique enough and weird enough, and she was detailed enough where it's like, is she really just like some one-off character in this one episode? And it's weird. And then like when you learn like, oh, she's a main character in another show, like, oh, I guess that makes more sense now. But I also want to her name. Yeah, I don't remember her name either, but it's also kind of weird. Like this episode specifically, like it felt like from scene to scene, everyone's faces changed. Like in some scenes, like Melfina, for instance, would have a really like, I guess the anime term would be like a shoujo face, where it looks like she's wearing a lot of makeup with really long eyelashes. And sometimes even Gene looked like I lost her his name. Like Gene looked like that. Like, wow, his eyelashes are really long in this scene. But in other scenes, their faces were just kind of messed up.
From like what I've seen so far and going forward as well, it appears that the animation for this show does not necessarily get any better, and it's all over the place.
Yeah.
People have been saying that in the thread too. It's just kind of from here on out, it's just kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah. I guess as far as like the spinoff thing being like, all I can think is that maybe they thought that we're going to have like the next Tenchi Muyo here, and so they were trying to plan for it. What I don't understand is that they were making this show at the same time they were making Cowboy Bebop, and they thought this show had legs.
Look, man, Cowboy Bebop was not a huge success in Japan.
No, it didn't do that well.
Like, in fact, I was looking at a blurb, and apparently they only aired like a few episodes of the show at first.
Yeah, it took a couple of years for them to get an entire run through the show. Like it was
Cowboy Bebop's success continues to be an entirely mostly Western thing.
Because which is weird.
Basically.
So it kind of makes sense that they would bet more on Outlaw Star.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I guess that's just so strange to me because like it doesn't. You don't even have to be a fan of like the Western influences of Cowboy Bebop to recognize the overall plot, quality, character, and animation, quality in Cowboy Bebop.
I know. It's just one of those things,
I know. Do you guys normally talk about Cowboy Bebop on this podcast or no?
Nope.
Okay, let me just say, well, because we don't normally talk about it, the Mushroom Samba episode aired this weekend, it's a good episode, but this is my first time watching it in HD, and this episode looks great. I mean, the whole show looks great, but like this episode is even more so. It's just like, wow, it looks fantastic. Anyway.
And that's my point. It's that like the people who were working at Sunrise must have been able to look at both of these two shows and realize that. Like you don't have to not.
I mean,
you don't even have to be a fan of like the content of Cowboy Bebop to not look at both shows and go, well, that one's made better, clearly.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm just surprised to hear that it wasn't that popular. That's just.
I mean, they were probably making the decision on what they thought was going to sell more.
It could be that they. I mean, it could be that was it at exactly the same time, or was Outlaw Star slightly after?
They were in the same year. They were they both aired in 1998, and that's basically the exact same time.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I guess they thought, based on what was popular at the time, because Outlaw Star does very much look like it's set to be popular in the 90s,
In fact, look at this. Let me see if they actually aired at the same time.
I don't think they did.
I do have a question, though, if you guys know this or not. Was Outlaw Star based on a manga?
There is one, but
But
I
what's
have.
it based on it?
I don't know.
What did it come first? That's my question. I wondered that when I was thinking about the whole like spin-off thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Blah blah blah.
So basically, Outlaw Star aired the first 2 seasons of 1998, like January to like June. And then Cowboy Bebop had a weird airing where it only aired 2, 3, 7 through 15, and 18.
Yeah, Outlaw Star was definitely a
So they would have had
manga
to have been,
first.
They would have had to have been making these episodes at the same time.
Well, okay, knowing now that Outlaw Star was a manga and must have been popular enough to spawn an anime, I could give them the credit of thinking that there could have been more for this show, you know.
Oh shit. The guy behind the manga is now at Marvel.
That's weird.
Yeah, apparently he got offered a job, after the anime got made, and he took it in 2002.
But then when you think about like Cowboy Bebop being a completely original story, it maybe Sunrise is thinking, we've got a hit with Outlaw Star because it's based on this popular manga series. Cowboy Bebop is this unknown, something like that maybe.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, so yeah, that's the episode. They rescue the dinosaur guy.
Weaker episode.
That's basically it.
Jesus, how much of this guy's stuff did they turn into shows?
What other stuff did they do?
No, it's just, he's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 manga series. I can't pronounce half of these.
Oh,
but from what I can tell, they turned most of these into animes, and he helped, with the designs and stuff. So.
Well, cool. That's Outlaw Star.
So Space Dandy is back for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just talk a bit about Space Dandy. It's hilarious. We were like,
they
probably didn't change the masters, so it's probably going to be the not Viva Namida, and it wasn't.
For like 6 episodes or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me sad, but
And now that someone brought it up, that reminds me, like when they reran the first season, like a while ago, like more recent, or when shortly after it finished airing, they reran it. Just the first season. That's how it was then too. So that just seems like that's how they have it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it right here. That's lazy. That's really lazy.
Yeah. They probably just pop the tapes in, because they do part own the show, so they probably just have the tapes laying around. They're like, okay, we need to air it, so let's get the tapes, let's pop it in and pay everyone who needs to get paid.
That was something I think they've already confirmed in the past, but I believe they reconfirmed it that they did partially fund Space Dandy, so they probably do have TV rights for it in perpetuity, basically. So
I do have another theory, and that is that we will never see Viva Namida because
it might have been a one-time only deal.
Well, not that reason. That's an interesting point, but that's not the reason. The reason is because this is at the back of the block now, where openings are shorter.
Yeah.
Except for
we may never get to see it. It may continue to run the much shorter American opening the whole season, which was bumming me out.
I was sitting here just wondering why my first name is trending on Twitter, and it's apparently some stupid kid doing I'm standing for the flag of the State of the Union, and it's like, ugh.
Who cares?
Fuck. Anyway, Space Dandy.
Yay!
We've got 2 people in the thread confirmed who have not seen this.
Seriously, that is weird.
I'm also basically watching Cowboy Bebop for the first time.
I mean, that's even weirder, but whatever.
I have the Blu-ray.
That is what the hell is wrong with you, dude?
Look, like most people, I buy Blu-rays to put them on my shelf and never think about them again.
That's not what most people do.
I do it.
Isn't it?
I feel like most people watch them at least once.
Honestly, I buy Blu-rays to have them.
I have a friend who's that way too, but he justifies it by saying he wants to support the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I want to support the creators of this by purchasing their show, whether I watch the Blu-ray or not. That seems reasonable to me.
Yeah. Anyway, that'll about do it for episode 89 of the Toonami Gaff podcast.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh,
not the Toonami
wait.
Gap
Fuck!
podcast.
Oh, damn it! I completely. We're still doing that. I think that's the second time since the name changed.
Seda says, "Be right back," but there'll be nothing to come back to.
I'm back
Look
now.
in a second. I'll be
Okay,
right
we
back.
were just doing sign-offs, and I called it the Toonami Gaff podcast again. Ugh.
We're a very professional organization, as you can tell.
That'll do it for episode 89 of the Toonami Show Rundown. God damn it!
How did you do that one?
That
That
was
was intentional.
deliberate.
That had to be intentional.
That was a joke. Anyway, that'll do it for episode 89 of the Toonami Escape podcast.
There you
Thank
go.
you, Stata.
You are welcome.
Thank you, C. Kohler.
No problem.
Thank you, B-Dubs.
I'm gonna go play Monster Hunter.
Me too. We'll see you guys next week for
Yay.
episode 90. Holy shit, we're almost to 100.
Seriously.
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, everyone.